Welcome back. I don't know how many conversations we've hosted on Flashpoint about regional transit. It has been a study in frustration for its supporters, but the issue is back again, and this time in a new iteration and, quite consequentially, a new leader in Oakland County. But does it change the fundamental disagreements that have kept it from happening? Let's talk about it with the chair of the Board of Commissioners of Washtenaw County, Jason Morgan, is here, the Chief Deputy Executive of Oakland County, Hillary Chambers, and the Assistant Wayne County Executive, Khalil Rahal. Thank you all very much for being here. Hey, Hillary, I want to start with you, because along with the fact that there's nobody here from Macomb County, which is a change from the way this has been approached before, the change in leadership I mentioned in Oakland County does make this different this time around, but will it make it different to voters?
We hope it will, and you know, County Executive Coulter has said he's not interested in just dusting off the old plans. He really wants to take the time to develop a new plan that really works for all of Oakland County. And so what we're talking about is an approach that's more flexible, that involves our Board of Commissioners, which I think is a good thing because we'll be able to develop a more grassroots, bottom-up type of plan. And I think when we put that before the voters, it'll have a much better chance of success.
In the past, we saw both Brooks Patterson and Mark Hackle kind of said that they were trying to be agnostic and stay out of it if it was up to voters, and yet that wasn't enough. What were the shortcomings? What has been the pushback, other than this sense, especially by Oakland County, that they were somehow going to be a donor county to this and not get much out of it?
I think it's all about the value that people feel in the plan, and that can be seen in two aspects. The value in terms of themselves and their community, and then I think people have to be asked if there's value for the region. And I hope that when we make that case to them, they'll see that if we can really move our region forward in this way, it's going to help economic development. It's going to help keep our kids here because they want to live in areas where there's mobility and walkability. And so I think it's got to be both of those things. There's got to be value for the individual communities and value at large for all of us.
Khalil, it hasn't been hard at all to get Detroit to sign on to this idea. We're talking a lot about Detroiters trying to get to jobs back and forth. What feels different to you about this time?
Yeah, I think Hillary hit it on the head. I think there's a much more public awareness about what regional transit can do to folks. And I think we have to do as a government a better job of explaining the benefits that even if you don't take public transportation, what that can do for you. You know, it can lower your auto insurance, it can lower your health care insurance, it can result in less accidents and less death, it can lower emissions, it can get people to jobs and education and medication and all the things that we need. We always say, for every dollar you put into public transit, you get $4 back into the economy. Some of those dollars come into cost savings for people. And I think as government, right, we could always do a better job, but the awareness of it over the last couple of years has grown dramatically.
I think the calculation usually, though, seems to be when it comes to mass transit that it never fully pays for itself. You have to agree that it's a societal good, but you're going to try and make the argument that financially it does pay for itself?
Absolutely, and every metropolitan area really in the world has made the case. You know, if you look at your New Yorks and your Chicagos and your Los Angeles and your Miamis, but I don't even say we have to compare ourselves to them. Cleveland, St. Louis, Minneapolis, Phoenix, Portland, smaller metropolitan areas are seeing the benefits of investing into public transportation. I think we got to do the same.
Jason, we seem to be the example, though, to the whole world, though, that we love our cars. That's been the argument forever, that we're just not all that interested in riding with a bunch of other people or sort of traveling en masse anywhere. Do we need a societal change, or is that one already happening with the way that, for instance, younger voters think about it?
I mean, I think the societal change is absolutely happening. We see a lot of young people who are moving out of our region because we don't have public transportation. We see jobs leaving our region because we don't have public transportation. It's not something we have to force or push on anyone. It's just naturally happening. It is extremely important that we improve the access to public transportation, not only about the things that Hillary and Khalil are saying, but it impacts our economy, the environment, our public health. It impacts a whole range of things. It impacts the affordability of our community. We have huge challenges in terms of affordable housing in Ann Arbor, in Detroit, in other areas, urban areas of the region. This helps all of those things. It benefits a wide range of things for our communities.
The inclusion of Washtenaw County shows a clear regional idea and approach to this. How much does it hurt then not to have Macomb County involved at the table?
I mean, quite frankly, Washtenaw County has been ready for regional transit for several years. We have been fully committed, and we've been even open to a direct partnership just with Wayne County if we weren't able to develop something with a 4-county region. But I think we've seen a huge change in leadership now, not only with executive culture, but also with the Board of Commissioners in Oakland County, the new board chair in Wayne County. Right. We have new leaders across the board, along with the consistent and steady leadership of Wayne County and the mayor of Detroit. We've had really great folks at the table, and I think now we have a whole new opportunity to make that happen.
And if I can say something about Macomb, because Macomb County is an important part of our region, and Executive Hackle is an important leader. And I think what's good about the Municipal Partnership Act that we're asking the legislature to amend so that we can use it in this instance is right now they have a countywide system with the SMART program. That's different in Oakland, right? We have opt-out communities. So Macomb County is countywide. And they've decided that right now they're satisfied with their level of service. If they change that decision in a few years, this allows them to join at a later date. So we're optimistic that we can take this first step, and then they can make a decision about joining.
And we would love for Macomb County to be in, but if they aren't willing to be in it at this point, we would love for them to consider joining later. And in the meantime, the parties who are willing, those of us here who've been ready to partner for a while, we'll move forward because I think our residents are ready for public transit. They're ready for regional transit.
But you go in hoping that Macomb becomes a part of it rather than being, I guess, petulant about it and going, well, forget you, we'll just move on without you, and tough, you lose out.
Yeah, I mean, I think they've said it accurately. If Mr. Hackle calls up my boss, her boss, Jason, and says, hey, we want to reconsider this, we want to be in, we will welcome them with open arms. In the meantime, I don't think any of us can afford to wait, right? Because we've seen, one of my jobs as the Economic Development Director of the county is to help attract businesses and corporations to Wayne County to help the better part of life, right? And so we've been on calls and talked to manufacturers around the world that have asked us point blank, what does your public transportation look like? And the lack of that always hurts us when we're trying to compete with other states for those bids.
Just got a little time left, but I want to make sure that we get past just the structure of how this would come together and whether or not there's support for it to get to what does it look like. Hillary, what does this plan then end up being? What is regional transit going to look like inside?
Well, that's the hard work that's ahead of us that we're committed to doing, because what we're going to be doing now as we're pursuing this legislation is really getting out there in the community and having these conversations and developing the plan over the next 2 months. It's not going to be a top-down approach. We're all going to get out there and talk to our communities and figure out what their needs are and listen to them and get input so that we can develop that plan. And I think the one thing that we all have found is we've had success. If you look at SMART's fast service on Woodward Avenue and the other arteries, I mean, in a year and a half, it's grown by 90%. So when there is good service, people utilize it. And so, we're looking at developing those types of really efficient, high-tech services.
I think sometimes it's hard to get people excited about a bus, but is there a more futuristic piece to all this that you want to see?
There are several pieces to it. Looking at potential rail between Ann Arbor and Detroit, looking at more innovative services that involve Lyft and Uber, really being responsive. I think this plan will continue to be shaped and developed over time as new technology is available, and that's what we're committed to.
I think the plan will have buses, and there's no doubt about that, but it won't be the kind of buses you see today. They will be buses with Wi-Fi, there will be buses with dedicated lanes and signal priorities. It will be more like a train on wheels, and I think more people are going to be accepting of a lot of those ideas.
All right, next 2 months, we'll say a lot about how it all looks then. Thank you all very much for being here. We've obviously got a lot more to talk about as we head toward the election a little less than a year from now. We'll wrap things up on Flashpoint right after this. Don't go away.